Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Khushali Mehta, and today I'll be presenting on a topic that sits at the intersection of law, ethics, and cutting edge of technology. So the topic is AI governance, regulation, and legislation in USA, UE, EU, and Canada. So as we all know that artificial intelligence is increasing rapidly in our daily lives. So from facial recognitions to our phones, in our phones to predict the algorithms in justice systems and so on. The question is not no longer whether we should regulate it, we should regulate AI, but the question should be how should we regulate it? So this presentation will explore different legal system approach and challenges and how ethical values are being embedded into the AI frameworks. And from the real case studies, will expose both the strengths and the limitations of the current policies. So I have divided the presentation into the four sections. First, I'll be talking about the legal frameworks for each region. Then I'll talk about the relationship between this AI and the civil liberties. The third one is the right to the contrast automate decisions. And finally, the pillars of governance, regulation, and ethics, which is followed by the case studies and global perspectives. perspectives. So let's start with the US. Legal frameworks for the US. So, the most important step recently, the President Biden's 2023 executive order on AI. It's the first comprehensive directive focusing on the safety testing, national security, algometric fairness, and especially in areas like housing and justice. So, but it is important to note that the executive orders are not permanent laws, but they are policy signals, not the legislations. So while they do matter, but they lack enforcement power without congressional backing. The second one is the AI Bill of Rights. So I have already uploaded, I'll be also uploading a document along with this where I have like for each um order, like for United or for each legal frameworks, I have followed the specific references. So I'll be sharing that reference as well at the end of the presentation for the guidance. So the second one is Bill AI Bill of Rights. So in 2022, the White House introduced a draft AI Bill of Rights. So more a moral compass than an enforceable law. So it includes principles like data privacy, safety, and the right to explanation, but it has no legal bite to it, so making it ethically guide, not a regulatory tool. So the NIST at AI risk framework. So in it was developed by the National Institute of the Standards and Technology in 2023. So these voluntary framework is now being adopted by the tech companies to self-regulate, and it also emphasizes trust, transparency, rebootness, but again, there are no penalties for the non-compliance. Unlike the US, the European Union leads in actual legislations. So the European Union AI Act passed in 2024. This is the world's first horizontal law AI law, I'm sorry. So it uses a risk-based model. So what it happens is like it banning unacceptable uses like social scoring, tightly regulating high risks sectors like policing and credit, and also easing off on minimal risk systems like spam filters. So the GDPR Article 22. So this article guarantees that the right not to be subjected to thoroughly automated decisions. It ensures human interventions, uh, constrictions, and explanation which directly impacts how AI is used in hiring, lending, and surveillance. So the first password is Toronto, and now I'll be continuing with the presentation. So now we'll see the legal frameworks in Canada. So Canada's main AI purpose proposal is AIDA, which is an Artificial Intelligence and Data Act. It is a part of Bill C-27, so it targets high impact systems, but it's still under development for with no enforcement body defined. So Canada's PIPEDA law governs data privacy, but falls short on the AI specifics like profiling and algorithmic decisions. Yeah. The PIPEDA is the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act. Now, this is the first question which I will be discussing as a part of the presentation. There are two questions which I have selected. Among them, this is the first one. The question talks about discuss how AI regulation intersects with civil liberties in Canada, European Union, and USA in relation to the facial recognition, surveillance, and biometric tracking support with reference to character, constitution, and convention protections. So in Canada, Section 7 and 8 of the Charter protect liberty and against unreasonable search. The use of Clearview AI policy. The use of Clearview AI by policy was ruled unconstitutional by the Privacy Commissioner. So it emphasizes that the AI surveillance must meet the standards of the necessary and proportionality. United Union's Cartier protects the privacy and prohibits discrimination. So under GDPR, biometrics data like facial image needs explicit consent. So the AI Act also bans real-time facial recognition in public spaces. So it is a bold stance on the civil liberates. So for the USA, the protection comes from the Constitution. The fifth and the fourth amendment limit how the AI can be used in surveillance. In Carpenter v. Versus the United States, the Supreme Court ruled that long-term cell phone tracking needs a warrant and landmark case for digital privacy. But overall, to see, the federal protections are pretty patchy, and the rules vary by each state. So, just a minute. Yeah. So to conclude the questions about the civil liberties in each country, in each region, this is the summary table. So the region are Canada, European Union, and USA. The key protection, what Cartier and what liberties it is, and AI surveillance focuses, then biometric regulations and civil liberties risk. So if we can see from here, the civil liberties risk, USA have the highest civil liberties risk, where United Union have the strongest biometrics regulation compared to Canada and UAE, and I'm sorry, and USA. So now I'll be talking about the ethical dimensions of AI. So first one will be talking about the bias and discrimination. So, as we all know, AI often mirrors society's biases. So, a prime example is Compass, which is used in US courts. Um, it's in correctional offender management profiling for alternative sanctions. So, it is wrongly labeled Black defenders as high risks. So this creates a systematic harm in justice and hiring and healthcare. There have been so many cases where in past where few black peoples were convicted for the crime they have not done, and they had to suffer the imprisonment time and everything. At the end they got to know that they have not done it. So if we can see, the justice on the base of the discrimination is not equally done in USA, but it's like more towards the discrimination side. The second one is transparency and explainability. So many AI systems are black boxes. So without transparency, user cannot trust or consent discussions and decisions. So cases like Clearview AI, scrapping billions of photos without consents, show how privacy rights can be violated at the scale. So transparency and privacy. Yeah. Yeah, the third one is economic and social risks. So AI may displace AI can usually, like, it will displace almost up to 800 million jobs by 2030. That's what it is predicted. That sectors like transport, customer service are at risks. The triggers calls for the universal basic human retraining and redistributions of AI generated wealth. We also know recently Amazon had a um, like, mass firing of like people from their job because they replaced Amazon warehouse because they replaced humans with an instead they replaced it with an robots where they can do the work faster and more precisely. So this is the first thing, like it is started now. So it is gonna change, it is gonna take up lots of jobs from the people. We have also seen in USA there are hospitals where the surgeries and everything is done by the robot. They just have to give the command and everything is done by them. No doctors are required. So this is how it is a very risky thing, but this is how the AI is going to take up jobs for people, for like millions of people in the future, mostly by 2030. Yeah. So this is question number two, which I selected is access how the right of explanation or concentrations of automated decisions is decision is implemented under the European Union GDPR and whether similar protections exist or are emerging in US or Canadian law, include case laws and enforcement actions where available. So let's start with the European Union approach. So under Article 22 of GDPR, users can demand human review of automated decisions. The S which one was the SCHUFA case in Germany. It reinforced this when courts ruled the abuse credit scoring systems must be transparent and if they affect individuals. So this is the case study. A German court ruled the credit score generated by a CHUF, a credit retailing agency, may fall under Article 22 if used without a human involvement. So, this decision enforcement that automated scoring without adequate transparency can be violate GDPR. So the digital rights, Ireland versus Minister of Commission, they said that reaffirmed the importance of human outsides and algorithmic decisions, especially those affecting fundamental rights. So the key GDPR enforcement examples are the CNL France and Fine Clearview. Clearview AI for failing to provide individual access to automated decisions making logic. So the UK raised concerns over TikTok's profiling of children via automated decisions without consent or explanation. Now we will be talking about let me zoom in a bit. So yeah, we'll be talking about Canada. So PIPEDA, which is the protection under PIPDA, the Personal Information Protection in Electronic Document Act. It provides minimum transparency, but under Section C27, CPPA, Canadians could gain a right to explanation. So, however, there is still no right consent like GDPR, like no right to consent unlike GDPR. So, purposed human construction, this is the bill case. No major court case is directly implemented to GDPR style right yet. So, Office of the Privacy Commission reports emphasis of growing concerns of an AI and profiling in the Canadian context. So, there are no Article 22 equivalent in the US, FRICA and ECO. It gives some rights like requesting data used in the credit denial, but they are sector specific. In Zabrick, um, just a minute. Yeah. So in Zabriskie versus Fannie Man, the court limited customer resources, showing the weakness of the fragmented regulations. So this is the case law. Aligned Fannie Mae's automated system violated FRECA. Court ruled Fannie Mae's desktop underwriter was not a customer reporting agency resource under the, and it illustrates narrow applications of automated decision rules. So, emerging state rules, Californian Customer Privacy Act, CCPA and CPRA. The CPRA 2023 update introduces that it says that the rights regarding the automated decision making, including the rights to access meaningful information about the logic involved in the outcome. So, regulations are still being drafted for implementations. And Colorado and Virginia Privacy Acts. So it includes limited rights to opt out of profiling in for furtherance of decisions, but with legal and significant effects, still developing enforcement in interpretations. The second password for today is dirham. And now I will be continuing with the presentation. Yeah. So this is now we will be moving forward to the third part, which is the governance, regulation, and ethics, so which I have analyzed it separately for each region. Um, so governance. Let's talk about governance. So who sets the rules? Like who sets the rules for the governance? So definition for the governance is like it refers to an institution structure and strategies that oversees and guides the AI development and deployment, often before regulation comes into the play. So the key governance bodies by region. So the European Union AI Office launching 2024. The purpose is to oversee implementation of the European Union AI Act, and what the responsibilities are coordinate national supervisory authorities across United Union member states, monitor compliance of high risk and general purpose of AI systems, manage a public database of high risk AI systems that ensures that is used in the European Union, and support sandbox programs for AI invention are under regulatory oversight. So government starts precautionally and right-based, prioritize risk mitigation. The governance, it involves institutions like institutions for shaping AI before it becomes a law. So they focus on bodies like NIST and OST guide standards. So Canada relies on Canada basically relies on the Privacy Commission for guidance, but there has no specific AI specific enforcement yet. So the United States NIST, National Institute of Standard and Technology, and the role for this is like it develops voluntary AI frameworks and standards. So AI risk management frameworks 2023. So this offers tools for companies to access and mitigate risk in the AI system, and it also covers the governance, data quality, explainability, and resilience. So other bodies such as like OSTP and National AI Advisory Committee. So it's an Office of Science and Technology Policy. It is drafted by an AI Bill of Rights and advises President and Congresses. If we see for the Canada, mandate enforce privacy's laws like PIPEDA offers guidance on AI, and the governance role is that it conducts audits and investigate into misuse of AI and data. So it advises policymakers on ethical and privacy preserving AI designs. So it has limitations and step back as well because it lacks strong enforcement power in AI specific constants until the AIDA becomes the law. So international governance actors. So the for the now as we've seen about the European Union, United States, and Canada, now we'll see like what are the international governance actors, like who plays the role for for the governance. The first one is UNESCO. Second one is OECD, and the third one is GPAI. So the UNESCO, as we all know, it published global recommendations on AI ethics in 2021, and it is adopted by 193 countries worldwide. So OECD, it provides global metrics and policy guidance via the OECD AI principles and an AI policy um, and the AI Policy Observatory. So the OECD AI principles are the first intergovernmental standard on the AI. So and it is a primary vector for the GPAI and the OECD governments and countries worldwide put OECD AI principles into practices. So the GPAI, Global Partnership on AI. So international initiative was co-founded by the Canada and the France to advance responsible AI. Now, that was governance. Now I'll be talking about the regulations and ethics, regulations. So enforcement laws and legal tools. So, what is regulation? So, regulation usually refers to binding laws, executive orders, and compliance requirements that governs how AI is designed and how it is used and how it is monitored. So, they are legally enforceable, often with fines and penalties. So, in the United States, Biden's executive order, which was 2023, it requires safety testing and risk disclosure from the companies developing frontier AI. Second one, it also applies to the federal agencies and the partners, not an universal law. Third one, it enforces the algorithmic algorithmic discrimination protections, especially in the housing and the justice. And it also introduced standards for biometric surveillance on AI and national security, which we have seen above, like before. So the current gaps are like there are no national AI law or dedicated AI regulatory. These are the step backs. Um, Regulation is a sector specific. Example, the FDA for medical AI, FTC for the customer AI. This is the regulation for the European Union, European Union AI Act 2024. So the world's first comprehensive and horizontal AI law, which was mentioned earlier. So it has a risk-based tiers. So it's unacceptable, high risk, and limited and minimal. So enforcement. So it fines up to 32 millions or 7% of the global turnover, and the national bodies monitor compliance. So specific obligation from the general purpose AI example, foundation model like ChatGPT, transparency mandates like deepfake disclosure, chatbot labeling, etc. So related laws, uh, just a minute. Yeah. So related laws are GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations, which is Article 22. It protects the individual from fully automated decision without human resources. So for Canada, AIDA, Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, it introduced as a part of Bill C-27. So it regulates high impact on AI systems, it also requires impact assessments, transparency about system capabilities and limitations. It measures to mitigate biased outcomes, which are still under development. So the legal authority and the enforcement mechanisms, TBD. So privacy regulations are PIPDA, it governs the personal data in the private sector, and also weak on AI specific issues, example automated decision making and profiling, which was mentioned earlier. Just a minute. Yeah. So now we'll be talking about the ethics as we covered governance regulations. Now we will move into the ethics. So ethics are value-driven guidelines. They are not legally binding. So ethics, it refers to the norms, values, the voluntary commitments about how AI should be designed and should be used. Typically outside of the legal obligations, but not often influential. So the global ethical framework, UNESCO, AI Ethics Framework 2021. The first global standard on AI ethics developed was adopted by 193 states. Um, the core values are the main focus is on the human right, inclusivity, environmental sustainability, and transparency and accountability. The recommendation it includes like periodic ethical audits of AI systems, bans of AI uses that infringe fundamental rights, example the mass surveillance, the OECD AI principles. So there are five principles adopted over 40 countries. So the first one is inclusive growth, sustainability, and development. The second principle is human-centered value and fairness. Third one is transparency and explainability. Fourth one is robustness, security, and safety. And the fifth one is accountability, used as a benchmark for national frameworks like United Union, AI Act on, and the US federal governance. Corporate and institutional ethic initiatives. Examples are Google's AI principle. It bans on developing AI for surveillance or weapons. Second one is Microsoft responsible for AI standards. So internal auditing, fairness testing, transparency documentations. Open AI Cartier. It's a commitment to safety, broadly beneficial AI aligned with human values, and the criticisms or the excuse me, criticism or step backs is like ethics without the enforcement cannot lead to ethics washing, such as like appearing responsible without real accountability. So voluntary ethics codes are only as good as companies' commitment. So now this is the final part of the presentation where I'll be discussing the real world, like the case studies and the real world evidence. So let's start with the first one is Clearview AI Canada. So what actually happened? So Clearview AI scrapped billions of facial images from social media without the user's consent, and the outcome for it was like the Office of Privacy Commissioner ruled this violated federal privacy law. So basically, what happened was Clearview scrapped billions of faces from the social media without the consent. So the Canadian Privacy Commissioner uh, ruled this illegally under PIPEDA. So it's a classic case of AI used to mass surveillance without any ethical checks. Uh, the second one is deepfake robocalls USA 2024. So what happened was just a minute. What happened was it is an AI generated voice mimicking. Um, it's an AI generated voice mimicking President Biden was used in the robocalls to mislead voters during an elections. So at the end of the presentation, I will show you the reference and the link, what exactly had happened. So So it was like one of the first high profile examples of deepfake technology being weaponized for the real time political disinformation. So, and while the public reaction was strong, what's even more alarming that there is no clear federal legislation was in place to prohibit or penalize this kind of behavior. So the robocall didn't fall neatly under the existing election laws, and although the investigation was launched, there was a legal gray area. So this case it shows a spotlight on the urgent need of federal deepfake regulation, especially in democratic processes. So the implication is like in the absence of the timely legal frameworks, malicious actors can exploit AI to accord public trust, and it manipulates elections and create chaos as well. So and since the voice cloning is becoming very more accessible and realistic, this threat is only going to grow unless the government takes primitive action towards this. Mm, yeah, so the third case study was IBM Watson's for Oncology. So it was launched with an enormous promise, like it was advertised as a revolutionary AI tool that could assist doctors in diagnosing cancer and recommending treatment plans. So the Watson was trained using large data sets from which was Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center and other medical sources. So, however, the internal documents leaked in 2018 were relevant troubling facts like and which revealed like the documents released, it got leaked in 2018, and which released troubling facts such as like Watson had uh, on numerous occasions it recommended unsafe and or incorrect treatments, even suggesting cancer drugs for patients with severe allergies or recommending therapies that were not suitable for their conditions. So the medical professional expressed serious concern about its reliability. Eventually, IBM pulled Watson from oncology from the market, selling parts of the Watson Health division by 2022. So to see that this case underscores a critical point where AI is a high stake, uh, where AI in high stake environments like healthcare cannot be rushed to the market without an extensive clinical validation and by checking the performance metrics and it should have a strict regulatory oversight. So it also raises an ethical concern, like what happens when the company market AI as a life-saving solution, but it fails to acknowledge its limitation. So in fields like medicines, a flawed algorithm does not just effectively efficient, it can directly endanger lives. Even a small mistake, small algorithmic mistakes, or any typing or spacing mistakes can endanger the life of the humans. Okay, so now this is the fourth case which I studied based, like these are the case studies which I looked into for the AI governance and regulation and ethics. These are the case studies I believe that fits very well to it, and it's a really good example to show people that what have had happened and how we can implement and and what changes we can bring from what had happened and how we can improve it in the future. So the fourth one, which I researched, was the GDPR enforcement H&M profiling case. So it was one of the most striking enforcement actions under the GDPR. As we all know, the clothing brand H&M, it faced around $35 million, 35 million fine in Germany for secretly profiling employees. So what happened was over several years, H&M managers in the Nuremberg service center collected excessive amount of personal data on their employees, and this included information about the family issues, religion beliefs, illness, and even private vacation experiences. So the data was reportedly stored and analyzed using the AI-driven tools to assess employee behavior and attitude. So this surveillance came to the light after a severe misconfiguration accidentally made the data visible across the company. So the resulting outrage led to an investigation by the Hamburg Data Protection Authority. So the case serves as a powerful reminder that how AI and the data analysis can be misused in the workplace. It also highlights the risks of unchecked surveillances, not just by the government, but by the private corporations. So employees were monitored and profiled without their consent, and in the clear violation, and which was a clear violation for the GDPR's principle on transparency, proposed limitations, and data minimization. So what makes this case historic? It's not just the fine which they had to pay, but the precedent but the standard it sets. So if you use AI or analytics to monitor people in an unethical way, so GDPR will hold you in accountability. The fifth case study, which is the McKinsey report, the global AI impact on jobs. So this was one of the biggest ethical and dilemmas posed by the AI job replacement. So according to 2023 report by McKinsey Global Institute between 375 million and 800 million jobs could be lost to automation and AI by the year of 2030. Just a minute. Yeah. By the year of 2030. So this is about one-fourth of the global workforce, as we know. So as we know, the job makes of risks include those transportations like drivers, manufacturing, customer service, data entry, administrative supports, while some jobs will be created, especially in tech and AI development, the transition will be uneven. From low income to low skilled workers are especially vulnerable. So, as we talked about in transportation, manufacturing, clinical work, and customers, so in transportations, as we all know that we have even at this time we have cars that we have driverless cars. Tesla has built one. Even in China, they have built cars where they don't need a driver. It everything is set automatically, and you just have to set where you have to go and the destination and everything. You just don't need a driver. Even in China, I have researched in China they have uh Uber taxis, like those taxis for helping people to travel from one place to places. These taxis, they are driverless. So you just have to book the taxi, but once you get the cab, there'll be no one driving. It was fully automated and it's fully scripted, and everything is in AI algorithmic. So there are, as we can see, it's already started. So this is where it started. It is starting where they are replacing the AI is replacing the humans in all the minimalistic jobs like the low income and low skill jobs. Moreover, we can see like as the AI will increase, it will also increase the jobs for people in tech industry because they need more people, more developers, more engineers who can help and implement these AI rules like AI implementations. And if they want everything to be AI, then they need more people who can help them generate more AI, generate more scripts and codes and to help build AI more efficiently. As we also know, ChatGPT, it covers like 2% of the internet. We know internet is a very huge thing. Like it only ChatGPT only covers 2%, but the details and the minimum details and the information it has is like unimaginable. So internet is vast. It only covers like Google. So ChatGPT basically covers everything that's in the web. So it does not cover what's in the dark web. It does not cover in the gray area. So in the future, people are going to start exploring these things as well, and they want to start exploring AI into a huge level where they can explore the gray areas as well. So it's going to be very huge, and for that they need people who can help them. So if we go back to the McKinsey report, it doesn't just offer statistics, but it also calls to the action, like to us. Like without any proactive policy, we risk widening inequality, it will also increasing unemployment and destabilizing the communities. So AI is not inherently harmful, but if its benefits are not distributed fairly, the social consequences should could be profound. Um, so as we have seen this earlier, the global and political content, international organizations such as the UNESCO AI Ethics Framework in 2021, before starting this, I like to share the third password, which was Canada. And now I'll be continuing with the presentation. So UNESCO's 2021 framework is the world's first global AI ethics, which was mentioned earlier as well. And OECD principles like transparency and accountability are being adopted in the national strategies. So these help align international governance, especially important as AI development is borderless. So cooperative, second, yeah, if we I'll just show you this one first. So AI geopolitics strategies modeled by region. So here by USA, United Union, Canada, and China, if we say. Um, Innovation model is like innovation first, industry lead, and the characteristics. So private sectors drives AI development, limited federal regulations focused on competition and defense. So human rights centered regulations, strong legal frameworks, example the GDPR, AI Act prioritize ethics, safety, and individual rights. So for Canada, it's an hybrid involving model, so combining voluntary governance with the proposed regulatory and state lead, control oriented, heavy invested in AI issues. And now this is the corporate governance. So the tech companies plays a big role. So Google branded Ford and AI surveillance after black backlash from the Project Maven. So Microsoft has an internal AI ethics committee, and Meta released the LLAMA, but it also critiques the flagged the lack of safeguards. So governance does not stop at governments; it also private actors matter too. So to conclude, while the European Union is leading in the enforcement of the AI regulations, the USA and Canada are still developing strong, centralized and responses. So ethics frameworks are growing, but without legal backing, they risk being symbolic. So the stakes are high, um, from justice to employment, from privacy to the civil rights. Effective AI governance will shape not just how the machines behave, but how they fair and free our societies are remaining. So this is all about the AI governance and AI governance, regulations, and legislation in USA, United Unions, and Canada. So this was my presentation. Thank you so much for listening. And now I will be showing you few of the references which I have followed for my presentation, for each case studies, for each laws and each rules. So let me just share my another screen. Just give me a minute, please. Share. Yep, there you go. This is the one. Um, just a minute. Um, 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 mm, 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 mm. Okay, so as you can see here, these are the references that I have followed. If we click on the Joe Biden's executive, it will show you this is the complete Joe Biden's executive order, and which I have followed and which I have researched on. Moreover, there is also one more. All the NIST and risk management frameworks are in this links. Once, like if we open each and every link, it's gonna show us like what the rules was out and everything will be there. So this is the McKinsey report, which are jobs at future and which we have seen already in the. These are the case studies. Now, yeah, I wanted to show when we talked about the deepfake videos, deepfake, well, Joe Biden's, um, which was leaked. So this is the one. Yeah, really big problem. So this is the video, like, just a minute. I don't know if you can hear, but I followed this one, and from this, understood like what actually had happened. So this is the CBS News. So, yeah, as we can see, this was what actually happened for the Joe Biden's deepfake, which was leaked during the election time. So these are all the references and all the case studies and everything which was there. So I'll be also uploading this video as well. I mean, this document with along with my video presentation. So yes, that is all for today's presentation. And stop sharing. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and to speak about AI governance. It have increased my knowledge, like it have broadened my knowledge about different regions and how the AI governance work in different regions and what we should be really considered in the future and how should as a civilian how should we take care of our data so that it cannot be misused in any possible ways, and we should also consider giving our data access, and we should also consider like not giving all fully data access, and there should be a consent. And these are the roles, all the policy laws and everything in among these countries, and in even in different countries, all countries have their own basis, own roles and rules and regulations and laws where they have to follow. So based on that, if like my main concern, my main answer, like the main response to is like each and every it's individual's responsibility, it's civilians responsibility to take care of our own data, because there are hundreds and thousands of tools, softwares, companies where they will ask for our data, but it is how it is us who how we handle it. So this is all about the AI governance, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about. And thank you so much for listening and taking your time and listening to this presentation. Thank you so much.